So my guess is you want to start working out because you want to improve your health and appearance, which is great, and everyone should want to do that. But yet for some reason you keep procrastinating. Every week goes by and you tell yourself that you're going to start, but then it never happens. Why is that? Is it because you don't want it bad enough, like some people say? Or maybe you don't want it as much as the next guy who does show up to the gym consistently? Maybe that's what you'll tell yourself, but I don't really believe it's true. I think you really do want to make the change. Everybody wants to be healthy and look better. You're just experiencing some weird invisible force that you're battling that keeps making you push it back every week. And I've been there before, which is why I can resonate with it, and also why I think that I can help you. Now, most people just tell you the same old story about needing to be more disciplined, or that, motivation isn't real and discipline is what you need. But by simply telling this to someone who already isn't motivated or disciplined, isn't going to help them in any way. It certainly never helped me. It's like, yeah, thanks for stating the obvious. I know that's what I need to do, but I need something more in depth, right? Like, that's like asking someone how they got shredded and they told you they just lost fat. Yeah, you just need to lose fat, bro. That's how you'll get shredded. It's like, yeah, of course, but that information isn't actually helping anyone who's stuck and needs a more in depth answer to help them understand how to actually go about losing the fat. And it's the same thing when you're telling someone to just be disciplined. You need a roadmap that will guide you to being disciplined. Now, I've by no means mastered this or am the expert in discipline, but I've definitely improved a lot. I've gone from a place of not having much discipline to in a place where I'm very consistent, especially with tasks that I used to struggle with, which never really was the gym. I was always pretty consistent with the gym, but discipline is a universal trait that applies to any given task. And in this video, I'm going to share some advice with you that you've likely not heard on the internet before. So make sure to keep watching till the end. But before I do get to that, I want you to think about a time when you saw a motivational video. We've all seen them before, whether it's a David Goggins video or any video related to whatever goal you're trying to achieve. In this case of lifting, maybe it's Ronnie Coleman, Arnold, or even someone like Sam Sulek, who's been popular recently. Or maybe it's some action heroes from old movies who had amazing physiques. It really doesn't matter. The point is, we all know that feeling when you're watching something very motivational and it gets you really hyped up to do whatever it is that the video was doing, or just a general motivation video, like one of those David Goggins videos where he's running at 2 a.m., right? And the fascinating thing is that when you're watching these videos, it will genuinely get you hyped up to get up at 4 a.m. the next day and run 10 miles. Like, you'll genuinely want to do it when you're watching that video. You'll set the alarm clock and look forward to it. You'll actually be excited because you're finally making this change. But then when you wake up at 4 a.m., all of a sudden something changed. Now, we all know what I'm talking about. You get up and you start rethinking. Do I really need to do this? Can I even do this? You start doubting yourself and rationalizing your way out of it. And most likely, what happens 99% of the time is you just end up going back to bed wondering where that fire that you felt last night had gone. And what I've come to realize is that it fundamentally comes down to your identity, who you believe you truly are deep down. Let me explain. When you're watching that motivational video, for that small period of time where you actually had that fire inside of you and you genuinely wanted to get up at 4 a.m. the next morning to go for a run, in that moment, you genuinely believed in yourself when you felt that motivation while watching that video. You believed that it was something you wanted to do because it was going to benefit your life in some way. It was a positive change that you knew would impact your life. You knew it was going to be difficult too, yet in that moment, you didn't care. You were so hyped up that you wanted to do it anyways because you had a genuine belief. It didn't matter how hard it was going to be. That didn't stop you from wanting to do it in that moment. The only problem is that that feeling and belief you had was manufactured by that video, and it was inevitably going to fade away. It was never real. Now, I want you to think of David Goggins himself, or any high performer similar to him. When most people think of these individuals, they're probably in disbelief as to how someone could be so disciplined and so dedicated to doing such difficult tasks on a consistent basis. Like, they can't even fathom how it's possible, because to them, it's something that seems impossible to not only just do once, but on a daily basis. It's like, there's no way they would be able to do that consistently. And I've heard plenty of people say things like, oh, he can't be happy. There's no way these guys are happy doing all of these super hard things. Getting up every morning at 4 a.m. and running 10 miles, then doing an ice bath or, whatever. There's just no way. Like to them, it's like sleeping in and eating pancakes for breakfast is way better. Most people would agree with that because in their mind, it seems like a much more pleasant experience. And I used to think this way too until I started working out and had a realization, especially the longer I train for. And at this point now, especially, people say I'm extremely disciplined. I rarely skip a session. And if I do, I always make up for it. I'm strict with my diet. 99% of the time, I say no to junk food. And when I do train, it's very intense. It's never, oh, I'm going to take it easy today because I don't feel like it. So from the outside in, people perceive me as very disciplined, especially when it comes to training and nutrition. Like people are very impressed with my level of dedication. I even get asked a lot, like, how do you stay so consistent and so strict with your diet? And when I first started having these conversations and engagements with people, I didn't think much of it because I never really had that experience before of somebody thinking I was extremely dedicated to something. Like I did play soccer at a very high level, which had a big commitment, but that's different because you're training on a team with a coach. It's all scheduled. Like you're being disciplined by somebody. You're being told by somebody when to do what you have to do. So while it was challenging and difficult, it wasn't really a matter of discipline. When it comes to training and nutrition, that's all on me. I don't have a coach. I don't have someone telling me when to train, what to do, how hard to train, or how to be consistent, what foods to eat, having the willpower to avoid eating junk food. That's all on me. That's something I have to do solely. Nobody's telling me what to do. So it's perceived as much more disciplined, which it inherently is. So when people would say, how are you so disciplined? How do you stick to a training schedule? How do you eat so consistently? How do you not cheat on your diet? I would just think to myself, like, yeah, I'm just more disciplined than you. That's probably why. I'm just disciplined than most people. But as I analyzed it more and more, I would think to myself, but I'm actually not that disciplined when it comes to other aspects of my life, like studying or doing homework. Like, why is that? Why am I so disciplined? Because I work out so consistently? But it doesn't carry over to every other aspect of my life. Like all these people who think I'm so disciplined because I lift and I stick to my diet are probably a lot more disciplined than me in other areas of life. And why is that? Like I thought discipline was just a trait that you have or don't have. Why would it not apply to every aspect of my life? Why is it just training and nutrition? And that's when I had the realization that discipline, or what people perceive as discipline, isn't forcing yourself to do something. Or if it is, then it's not the trait that all these people you admire have. It's something else. This is why so many people start things and then quit. And trust me, I know this. I've been there. It's because they're running on willpower. I don't need willpower to work out. I love it, in fact. It's the best part of my day. So many people dread it, but I love it. Why is that? It feels like I'm cheating. Like, why do I get to do this difficult task and get the desired result while enjoying it? While other people, most people, desperately try but fail because they can't stay consistent or quote unquote disciplined. So I think I've cracked the code as to why, but I'm still trying to figure out how to apply it to other areas of life. And I believe this comes down to your fundamental belief system. Every single time I go to the gym, I have my goal in mind. I know exactly what I want to do every time I step into that gym. And I know exactly what I need to do to achieve that goal, which is extremely important. I have clarity, which is a big piece of the puzzle. But by far, the most important thing, even more important than that clarity, and this is what made me really realize, is that I had this genuine deep down belief, almost a delusional belief in my heart, that I was going to achieve what I wanted. Like whether it was the Ziz physique or just a physique of any action hero or influencer, I genuinely had that belief that I was going to get there. And even if I'm not there now, and I never will get there now, I've achieved so much more than I ever would have, and have still gotten very successful than had I not had that belief. And it was that genuine belief that made it so enjoyable. And even though now that I realize I might not look like some of these influencers, because I understand now that most of them have elite genetics and are on steroids. My goal has still adjusted to something that I still would be so happy with and genuinely believe that I will get to. For example, one of my biggest goals has been getting 18-inch arms, right? So I watch a channel called Basement Bodybuilding, and he did this Road to 18-inch arm series. And I had watched some of his previous videos where he had gone over some of his transformations, like his 4-year, 3-year, 5-year, I think it was, transformation. And I was watching those videos, and as I'm watching them, I'm thinking like, this guy has very similar progress to me, like very similar rate of progression, similar amount of muscle after the same amount of training. And I'm like, I can do that. Like, he just got 18-inch arms. Sure, it took him like double the amount of time I've been training, but I'm like, he got there. And I'm like, that's sick. Like, if I could get there, that would be insane. That would be amazing. And now I genuinely believe that I can get there because I've seen this guy who's done it, and he's very similar to me in terms of his progression and genetics, let's say, I don't know, whatever. So I genuinely believe that I can get there. Now, even if it's possible that I won't, I do believe that I will. And that belief is what's going to allow me to keep doing the things I know I need to do and enjoy it while I get there. It's almost like I have a guarantee that if I put in the work, I'll get the results. And I think that's one of the biggest things that holds people back in any given endeavor. They think they're always doubting themselves as to whether they can actually achieve the results. So the whole time that they're on the journey and putting in the work, they constantly have this doubt in their mind, so that as they're doing the work, eventually they're running on willpower because of that. So eventually they're going to run out because they're fighting an uphill battle, or they're essentially swimming against the river. Like, the belief in their mind is that they're probably not going to get the result, but for a certain amount of time, they can overcome that. They can swim against it. But eventually, it's inevitable. You're going to fail like that if you don't actually believe in yourself. Like, imagine how much more disciplined you would be if you had a guarantee that you would achieve your most desired goal or whatever your desired outcome was, regardless of the task you had to do. Like, if someone just said to you, keep digging a hole and you'd get $1 million, no matter how deep they say to dig, I bet you'd get way further than if they said, there's a chance you'll get $1 million if you dig this deep or you keep digging, because there's a genuine belief there. Like, for a fact you're getting $1 million after. So of course you're going to keep going. The thing that you need to do now is manufacture that somehow, or delude yourself even to doing it. And once again, there's a difference between just lying to yourself and saying that you believe, but not actually believing, versus genuinely believing. And you can delude yourself to a certain degree, and it's actually necessary, in my opinion. But what it comes down to fundamentally is just that genuine belief. That's what allows me to stay consistent. It has to be, because there's no way that I'm more disciplined than all these people, or I'm disciplined like people like David Goggins, which I'm not. There's no way. And what I can promise you is that you'd enjoy every bit of digging that hole. Even if it was physically painful in the process, you'd still enjoy it. You'd know, oh, this suffering is going to be worth it. I broke my finger, my arm's messed up, my back's hurting, but it's going to be awesome. You'll do it with a smile on your face because there's going to be $1 million at the end. And that's when I realized that all of these guys, David Goggins, Jocko Willink, whatever person you're thinking of right now that you admire for their hard work and discipline, any athlete, Ronaldo, Messi, all of these guys who do extremely difficult tasks that you perceive as undesirable, they enjoy it. Genuinely, they enjoy it because they have either transformed their identity into someone who believes that it's all going to get them the result, like genuinely believes it's going to get them the result they want, or they were born with it. I don't know how that works, whether it's manufactured or you're born with it. It's very possible that it could be either way. It could be a combination of how your parents raised you. I don't know. There's so many factors that could potentially go into it. But whatever they are, it's that same fundamental belief system that allows them to do it. All of those stories about Ronaldo, you guys probably know Ronaldo. I'm into soccer, so I use him as an example. All those stories of him showing up to practice 2 hours earlier than everybody, hitting the weights, doing his own individual training sessions, staying later than everybody. All of the other players were maybe going home or showing up thinking, oh, why is this guy here so early putting in all this work? I wouldn't want to do that. I just want to do the regular training session and go home. And then they watch him stay later. They're like, oh, he can't want to do that. Why would he want to do that? I just want to go home and eat and be with my family. He doesn't want to be here right now. Why is he doing that? It's because he genuinely believed he was going to be the best player in the world. And he genuinely believed that was going to happen as a result of all these things he was doing. So can you imagine in the moment, if you said to Ronaldo, you just have to do these 2-hour training sessions in the morning before everybody else, and then you have to do 2 hours after everybody else, and you will be the best player who has ever lived. You think he's not taking that deal? He's not doing that? Of course he's taking that deal. And he basically had that deal as a result of his belief system. He already believed that was going to happen. So it's synonymous. It's like the same situation as if he did have the guarantee. He was operating as if he had that guarantee. And as a result, not only did he do it, he enjoyed every bit of that process. Even though it was sometimes difficult, yes, like physically or mentally, he did it with a smile on his face, I can guarantee it. And even if they don't realize it, or they don't realize how much more challenging it is for others to do the same thing, maybe they do think they're just way more disciplined than others, which I suppose they technically are, but it's not what you think. Remember that feeling you get during that motivational video, that David Goggins video, that moment where it feels like you have that genuine belief. The motivational video is just renting it to you for a moment. And that's why it never stays. No motivational video has ever changed anyone's life for the long term. Even if you do go for that run that next morning, you'll maybe do it for a couple of days, even a couple of weeks if you're really strong. But you're running on willpower. Eventually it'll stop. You can't stick to it forever. But anyone can acquire it. These guys aren't special. They just have that feeling that you are only able to experience from that motivational video, except for them, it's 24/7. They constantly have it because they've instilled that belief. So of course they appear to be more disciplined. And I know this, and every gym rat who loves training knows it because they love working out. People think we're so disciplined because we train so hard, so consistently. But the truth is, we're not. We just love it. And the reason we love it stems from our genuine belief that we're going to get the result we want. Whether we somehow adopted it, manufactured it, we were born with it, I don't know how we got it, but we did. And for other people, they maybe get it naturally in another area of life. Like they're extremely dedicated to school and studying because they genuinely believe it's going to lead them to a desirable outcome. I don't know. The question is, how do we transfer it to other areas of our life so that we can excel at them? That's the big question. But what I will say is that everyone has had moments where they have been extremely disciplined for a long period of time. So they know what it's like. Even if it was manufactured and it was running on willpower, like I said, they know what it feels like to be disciplined for a long time or a certain period of time, longer than normal. So what that tells us is that everyone's capable of doing it. Everyone's capable of being dedicated to something for a long period of time. It has nothing to do with laziness. Like laziness isn't an identity. I guess it's an identity you can impose on yourself, but it's not a genetic thing. It's not like, oh, this guy is born, he has a lazy gene, or this guy lazier than that guy. Like it's not a thing. Anybody is capable at developing momentum and becoming quote unquote disciplined and doing a task for a long period of time. The only problem is that they regress after a certain while if they don't achieve the result because either their belief in succeeding at whatever they were doing wasn't genuine or they somehow lost it. They no longer believe in what they're doing. But actually being able to do difficult tasks and do them for a long time is something that anybody can do. It's not exclusive to these certain individuals or these athletes or David Goggins. So I suppose you could boil this all down to just believing in yourself. But then that would be hypocritical of me because it would be similar to just saying, be disciplined. So while I can't give you the exact blueprint to manufacture that genuine belief for yourself, all I can do is use my experience lifting and how I became to love it so that you can try and do the same for yourself. So like I already discussed in this video, one of the big components is clarity, which means knowing exactly what you need to do to get to that desired result. It's the pathway. So when it comes to lifting, this is how many days a week am I training? How long are those training sessions? What exercises am I doing? What tempo am I using? How many reps am I doing? How many sets am I doing? What am I eating tomorrow morning? What am I eating for lunch? What am I eating? How many meals am I eating? How many calories am I eating? Protein, macros, everything. You need to know exactly what you need to do to as many details as you can, or to the finest detail that you can, should I say, so that you can remove all of the guesswork and any potential decision fatigue that will prevent you from getting there. Now, that's one component. And then, like I said, the next biggest component is going to be the genuine belief that you will get there. I brought up my personal goal, which was getting 18-inch arms. There was not a moment in the gym where I didn't believe that I was going to get there, or where I felt like the work I was putting in wasn't going to get that result. Even if it may not, I genuinely believed that it will, which is what allowed me to go to the gym consistently and actually enjoy that process every single time I went into the gym. If every time I went to the gym, when I was doing my preacher curls and my tricep extensions, I thought, oh, this is all for nothing. I'm not going to get there anyways. What am I doing this for? That is the perfect recipe to quit and stop being consistent. The perfect recipe, because I'd be using willpower at that moment, which is a finite resource and will eventually run out. So for me, these are the two things that I think contributed most. So to wrap this long video up, clarity is the first thing that you can absolutely control. You need to have a clear plan on what you need to do, what you need to execute to the finest detail. That's what's going to get you started and get you the first bit of consistency. But the genuine belief and identity transformation is what is going to get you to stick to it for the long period of time and actually get the desired results. Even if it starts out as a delusion, you have to constantly operate from that mindset that you already have that result. Just act like you're already there, or just tell yourself that you're going to get there. Whatever it is, you have to somehow figure out how to construct that belief system that allows you to get there. It's the most important thing. So with that said, I'm going to wrap up this long video now. If you can figure out how to develop that same belief system, regardless of whether it has to do with the gym or any other endeavor of your life, I promise you're going to succeed.